Hey up everybody, Magpie Gaming here, bringing you another Star Wars Battlefront 2 video, and the controversy around the loot boxes within this game just isn't going anywhere. Even though EA basically turned off the ability to buy crystals, you're still able to get loot boxes within the game with the in-game credits, and they've definitely ruffled a lot of feathers with this system. The amount of shit that has gone around because of this game it's basically touched all corners of the world at the moment. And in Belgium, they decided to do a quick investigation into whether or not the loot boxes within this game constituted gambling. And they've come out and said yes. In their eyes, the loot boxes within this game and other games do constitute gambling, and they want a complete and total ban on them within Europe, and say that they're going to take their findings to the European Parliament, basically, to see what can be done about it. Now, the vast majority of people that I've spoken to about this would agree that it is gambling. I do think it is gambling. You know, you put real world money into something to get something and you don't get it, so you've got to put money in again to try and get it. That's a form of gambling, no matter which way you look at it, as far as I'm concerned. So, but to call for a complete ban, no. That's taking it a bit too far. I think what needs to happen is specifically Star Wars Battlefront 2 Belgium call out that game. So why not try to talk to the makers of the game, EA, and see what they're going to do about it. See what their take is on this, and then take it from there. To just say, well, every game that's got loot boxes in needs to be banned isn't going to happen. Although in Europe, anything is possible, but I can't see that happening. I think that would just be a bit of a stupid move. I think, moreover, if you want to have loot boxes within games and they are found as being gambling by the European Parliament, then there needs to be some sort of regulation put in place. Gambling is freely available across all Europe and is a regulated business. So if video games want to put that kind of thing within their games, then it should also be regulated in much the same way. But how would you regulate that kind of thing within the game? Would you have to have some sort of age verification added within the game so that you can access loot boxes if you're over the age of 18 or whatever the age of consent for gambling is in your country? But then you're going to create a two-tier game. You're going to have the game that's for the under 18-year-olds and you're going to have the one that's for the over 18-year-olds. So I can't see that working. So moreover, I could see that loot boxes would be tamed quite a lot within games if that was the way that, for instance, say the European Parliament wanted to go with things. But things have taken another twist over in America, so Belgium's doing their thing over here. Now, the Republican Chris Lee of Hawaii posted a video to YouTube where he calls for future protection for kids, youth and everyone when it comes to the spread of predatory practices within online gaming. And the title of his video is Highlights of the EA Predatory Behaviour Announcement. Now, that's quite to the point title for a video. It's straight to EA, you've done this, sort something out. And he basically describes Star Wars Battlefront 2 as a Star Wars themed online casino, which I think is, I'm not defending Star Wars Battlefront 2, but I think that analogy is a little bit too much. I think that's taking it a bit too far. I don't see it as an online casino, it's anything but he describes the game as a trap and says that this is something that we need to address to ensure that particularly kids who are underage, who are not physiologically and emotionally mature enough to be able to gamble, which is why gambling is prohibited under 21 in America, are protected from being trapped into these cycles which have compelled many folk to spend thousands of dollars in gaming online fees. We're looking at legislation this year coming which could prohibit access or prohibit the sale of these games to folks who are underage in order to protect families as well as prohibit different kinds of mechanisms in those games. He then goes on to say that the video wasn't meant to go live yet, it wasn't meant to be public yet, but somebody had decided to post it, I think by mistake, and he just decided to leave it up. And then he says these kind of loot boxes and microtransactions are explicitly designed to prey upon and exploit human psychology in the same way casino games are so designed. This is especially true for young adults and childs. Psychologists and other experts explain, and particularly vulnerable, these exploit mechanisms and the deceptive marketing promoting them have no place in games being marketed to minors and perhaps no place in games at all. So I've got to say that I agree with him in some ways. There does seem to be predatory practices going on when it comes to games like this. They're definitely pushing not really a hidden agenda, but they are pushing these things into the limelight, and they're setting games up in a way where you feel compelled to buy money, buy loot boxes, buy in-game currency that gives you access to certain things. Now, it doesn't work on me. I'm not stupid enough to do it. Once I've bought a game, that is all I'm spending on it. Unless I buy some DLC, which is fine, but other than that, I ain't buying loot boxes. I've never been interested in them. I think I've only ever bought one loot box, and that was one of the Gamescom ones for Battlegrounds. And that is the only time I've ever bought one. And I've not felt compelled to spend any money in Battlefront 2 to be able to access other things. I prefer to try and work my way through a game to gain things, although it is a bit of a stupid progression system within Battlefront 2. But I think to specifically pick on Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a bit much. There is plenty of games that have been before this game and have done the loot box thing. Maybe not to the extent that Battlefront 2 has. But I mean, you've got other ones such as Overwatch. They've had loot boxes in there for ages. Obviously, cosmetic items. That's, the difference between Battlefront and Overwatch. But I think to pick on this game and focus on that, I think it's a bit wrong. There is a wider problem here. And let's not forget that these microtransactions basically come over from mobile gaming. Mobile games where there has been no regulation ever. As long as you can own a mobile phone, you can purchase extra things for in games, and it's always been there in mobile gaming, and it's now started to work its way over into what you would term mainstream gaming on the consoles and the PC, and now all of a sudden everybody wants to take notice. I think that's a bit of a piss take. Like I say, shouldn't just pick on Battlefront 2 here. It's not the only game to do it. It's been going on for a lot longer on our mobile phones, and you can get games like that from the Google store, you can get it from the Apple store. It's all over, it's rife, and nothing's been done about that so far. So I think there's a massive wider issue here that needs to be tackled. Obviously, people of this stature, are representative of a state in America, and you've got a whole country in Belgium, and I think the Netherlands was also looking into this. And now that they're going to take their findings to the European Parliament, it's just going to create a shitstorm. The European Parliament don't stand for no crap. They're pretty good at flinging out fans to God knows anybody. They've fanned Microsoft, they've fanned Google, they've fanned Apple. They don't give a shit, they'll do whatever. And it's a noise has been made in places where probably the likes of EA don't want it made. They're already under the cosh, they're trying to please the gamers at the same time as they're trying to appease their investors. Their investors want their money out of the games that they're making. Us gamers just want a decent game. I mean, at the end of the day, EA should have just made a Battlefront 2 game that was decent. They didn't have to put the microtransactions in. I believe that they make enough money to fund the DLC anyway. But if you'd have made a brilliant game, lots of people would have just gone out and bought it. The good old-fashioned way with gaming, you went and you bought a game and you enjoyed it. And because you enjoyed it, you told other people. And because other people saw you enjoying it, they went and bought it. And that's how it works. That's how a good game sells lots of copies. You don't sell lots of copies shoving all this shit in your game. You sell it by making a good game. So if you just made a good game, it'd sell shitloads anyway, and you'd make tons of money. So I don't know. It's just, this has been unbelievable. What a mess for EA. What a mess for DICE. I mean, DICE they're an amazing studio, but as I've said on Twitter and in comments on YouTube, they're drowned in EA's bullshit right now. And from what I've heard, a lot of the developers there didn't want this put in the game. And if it hadn't have been put in this game, then this game would be sitting comfortably in the sales charts. It'd be getting 7, 8, it'd be getting 80%, 90% in a lot of the reviews. I don't think it'd be doing as bad as it is right now. Definitely not. But there you go. So we've got people weighing in left, right and centre. I'm wondering who's going to weigh in next. We'll just have to wait and see. But that is the latest. That is where we are with Battlefront 2 at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see if the European Parliament have anything to say on this, with Belgium going to them. I'm assuming that it will be raised in Parliament there at some point. Obviously the Netherlands have weighed in. Now this guy over in America's weighed in. So will there be anything more come out? I don't think we've heard the last of this yet. So, as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching and listening. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.